What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero, back with another Yugi-Kaiba format video, back with another Last Will Turbo video. Now, I mentioned at the end of my last Will Turbo video that I wanted to get a couple more games in with this deck, see if I could win a game or two with this deck. And in this video, I have a fair amount of games for y'all. I was debating about whether to split this up into, different duels like I've done in the past, but I figured that I'd try out just showing them all in one chunk, kind of like I did with the Invigoration video a while back, to see if y'all enjoyed that format a bit better. If you don't want to commit to watching the entire video all at once, that's completely fine. I've left timestamps in the description so you can break it up into each individual match. But I figured I'd see if y'all enjoyed this sort of, not really change in format, but, slightly different format than how I've done it in the past. But anyways, before I dive into the many duels that I've got today, let's just do a quick deck breakdown here. If you missed my last video, this is Last Will Turbo. This is a deck that was made by the Discord user GBO that can be found in the Yugi-Kaiba Land Discord server in their, past deck lists that have done well in tournaments. And this is a really cool deck. I think this deck is really interesting, and it takes advantage of a card that doesn't see as much play as it potentially should, which is Last Will. Last Will is a card that when one of your monsters is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon out a monster from your deck. It's kind of a weird card in the way it works. Like, if you activate it at some point in the turn before a monster you control's actually gone to the graveyard, if a monster later that turn gets sent to the graveyard, then you can sort of apply its effect at that point, which is a very unique way to apply an effect that no other card in the game at this point actually does. But it does mean that it's a very flexible card, and it's a very versatile card. And it's basically used in this deck to either insulate yourself a bit if you bring out a monster and it gets trap hold, and you want to defend yourself against a monster that your opponent has on the field. You can use it to bring out like a defender. It can also be used to go a bit more aggressive if your opponent's down to very low life points and they trap hole a monster. You can use Last Will to bring out, a monster that doesn't have the highest attack, but could have enough attack to make a difference. So it can be a very useful card, and we're just maxing out on 3 of it to use it as much as possible. So for the individual cards in this deck, we've got 3 Lodge-ins, 3 Neos, 3 Battle Oxes, the premier beaters of this format. You'll find these in almost every, really aggressive deck in the format. We have 3 Alchemator, 3 Giant Soldier of Stone. These are our main Last Will targets. You can bring them out from the deck to, insulate yourself if one of your monsters gets destroyed, as I said before. We have 3 Man-Eater Bug, which is a great form of removal. And we also have a Wicked Worm Beast, which is another Last Will target. Can be good against Soul Exchange-based decks. And can, it has 100 more attack than Giant Soldier of Stone, which can come up. For the spells, we've got all of the limited power spells. So Change of Heart, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Raigeki. All incredibly strong. We also have 3 Fissure to act as removal, the 3 Last Will, as I mentioned before. And we only have 1 Sword of Revealing Light. This is because we have a bit more defensive options than other decks might have, so we don't really need to max out on 2. You could potentially swap out like an Aquamador or maybe even a Wicked Worm Beast for another copy of Swords, but I think having 1 sword is perfectly fine in this deck. For the traps, we have 3 Reinforcements, 3 Trap Holes, 3 Wubokus, the standard trap lineup in Yugi-Kaiba format. Wubokus are great at protecting your life points and your monsters, Trap Holes are great at removing threats on your opponent's turn, and Reinforcements are great at winning battles and also just dealing a last bit of damage that can dodge around Wuboku. For the side deck, we've got a couple different options to go into post-siding. And this side deck is actually different from the one that GBO used. I just tailored it more towards my own play style. So I've got sort of two different ways that you can go. You can either side into a bit of an anti-stall strategy. We've got 3 Trap Masters, 3 Summon Skulls, 2 Soul Exchanges to go into an anti-stall strategy. You can also just side in the Skulls and the Souls if you want to just turn it into a soul control strategy. If it's not necessarily anti-stall, but it's a deck that suffers against soul control. We have 1 Wicked Wormbeast, 3 Wall of Illusion, and 2 Ultimate Offerings if you want to turn the deck into a sort of worm control deck after siding. You know, if your opponent's playing Soul, this could be pretty good at dealing with that strategy a bit. And we also have a Just Desserts if your opponent's on a deck that heavily uses Ultimate Offering. Just Desserts can be a pretty good card to side into. But that is the deck breakdown. Before we dive in to the duels, if you enjoy my content and like this video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that way you'll see when I make new videos for this format. And we are nearing like the end of the unique decks that I can cover in Yugi-Kaiba format. So it's pretty exciting. Soon I'll be shifting to cover a bit more of Critter format, which is the next played format in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. I probably won't ever stop making Yugi-Kaiba content entirely, but it will be fun to dive into a new format and experiment with that a bit. So if you don't want to miss those videos as they come out, definitely subscribe to the channel. But now that I've discussed the deck, let's dive in to the duels. Okay, we've got a game against Ellie Tin Can, who's featured on the channel quite a bit. And this was, you know, we started playing one game and then we just kept doing some rematches. So it actually turned into 4 games. And I think they're all pretty good ones. So, you know, it's just going to be the same 2 decks facing each other over and over again. But I think that they're each unique enough games to actually feature on the channel. And so I'm going to be showing them all off in this video. Again, there will be timestamps if you just want to watch one game at a time and split this video up into different watchable chunks. But if you want to just watch it all the way through, I think it is a pretty good set of duels. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. We're going to go into the rock, paper, scissors. We do lose rock, paper, scissors, so we will be going second here most likely. And yep, we are indeed. This is a pretty good starting hand, though. 2 board cleared is pretty nice. A defender is also nice. Good stuff here. They're just going to bring out a Login, 2 back row, and pass. We're just going to set our defender, set 2, and pass. We could have set the Maneater to potentially try and get rid of the Login, but we don't really have any aggressive threats to follow that up with, and we have 2 board clears here for if things get really bad. So I don't hate just setting a defender here. They're going to attack into it, and looks like they don't have reinforcements, so we're feeling pretty good about that. Change of Hearts is an okay draw, but it doesn't really do anything on this board, so we're just going to set it as a bluff and pass back to them. They're going to Fisher away our Aquamador. Unfortunate, but we didn't want to set another card just in case they had like a Raigeki or something. So we will be taking 18 there. They're just going to pass back to us. And we're just going to set the Maneater bug. Hopefully they won't have like a Change of Heart or something to deal with this, and we'll be able to pop a monster. They're going to bring out a Battle Ox and then just attack in. So it is, you know, we do have the Maneater bug, and we could potentially pop the Login, so that way we could potentially crash the Neo next turn. But we're just going to pop the Battle Ox, save us a bit of damage. And we draw a Fisher, so it all works out. We're going to bring out Neo. They're okay with that. We're just going to Fisher away their Login, attack in for 17, and pass back to them. They're going to set 2, pass back to us. A Login is a decent draw here. We don't have like a reinforcements though, so that can make it a bit awkward to summon out the Login. If it is a defender, then we'll be, you know, lined up for a primo board wipe like a Raigeki or something. So what we could do instead, we could just Change of Heart their set, flip it up, and attack him with both. It's tough to say. That's what we're going to do, though. I think this is the right play. And they're going to take that. We're just going to set another bluff here and pass back to them. They're going to switch the Lodge into defense, set one more, and this is very good for us. So we actually have a couple different options here, especially because of this last will draw. So what we could do is we could Dark Hole and then activate double Last Will to bring out a Wicked Worm Beast and a Giant Soldier of Stone, which would be pretty interesting. That would be able to deal 2,700 to our opponent if they don't have a Woboku. Wicked Worm Beast would bounce back to hand, preventing us from losing to any big board wipes. And also we'd have a Woboku to protect our Giant Soldier from any attacks they would do. It looks like we're not going to do that, though. We're just going to summon out the Lodgin, Raigeki their board, and try and attack in with these two. This is game, so I think it makes sense to do. It's just a bit tough because if they have a board clear, then we have to draw another monster to pull off the double Last Will play. So it's not the best. They do have a board clear, unfortunately. So that will clear our entire board. We do have Lodgin, which is pretty nice. So we are going to bring out Lodgin. They're okay with that. We're just going to attack into their set. And it's a Giant Soldier. So I think what we could have done here is actually just Darkhold and then summoned out the Lodgin. But I guess we're playing it a bit safe. They're going to set another pass back to us. And now we can do the play that we talked about before. We can Darkhold the board. We will summon out a Battle Ox that will get popped with the Trap Hole. But we do get to bring out double Last Will targets here and try and get in for 27. They do have Woboku, unfortunately. But, yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot. We've got two monsters. They don't have a monster that they draw, then they're going to be in a very tough position. And even if they do, we do have the Woboku to protect our Giant Soldier for a turn, so that way we can switch it back to defense. So we're feeling pretty good about that. They do draw a monster, unfortunately, so they will be able to bring it out and attack into the Soldier of Stone. We are just going to Woboku that, though. And they have swords, so nothing we can really do about that. We're just going to switch our Giant Soldier to defense, set one, pass back to them. We don't activate the swords here because I don't think we're at risk of dying. If they have Change of Heart and Monster Reborn, then, you know, that still isn't enough to kill us. They can't really kill us on this board. So we can save the swords for when we need it. They're going to bring out a Lodgin, and they will attack in to our Giant Soldier. They do have the reinforcements. So we will take 18 here, unfortunately. Now, they know we don't have any mass board clears because we've used up both of them already. So that's kind of unfortunate. They can just commit as much as they want to the board without any consequences, really. So we'll just set a Man-Eater Bug here. We are going to pop the Neo to prevent ourselves from taking more damage. And they're just going to bring out a Battle Ox. I'm kind of curious why they didn't bring out that before, since we've used up all our board wipes. But I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I don't know. Lodgin's pretty decent. We can just summon that out. Or I guess we'll set it? I don't know how I feel. Oh, I guess we're using swords here because... yeah, okay. I know why we're doing this. We're doing this so that way they can't fisher away our Lodgin. And this will enable us to get two monsters on the field next turn. They're just going to set one, pass back to us. We're going to bring out Worm Beast, and they're fine with that. And we're going to set one? I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would have just tried... Oh, I guess if that's a reinforcement, we're kind of in a tough spot if we attack in with the Lodgin. So we're biding our time. We've got swords up, so we don't need to worry about that. But this does give them more time to draw into something like Trap Hole. So kind of risky there. But it looks like they don't have Trap Hole, so feeling pretty good about that. We will be able to get in for 100 there. And we are just going to set the Wicked Worm Beast. I think we're trying to bait out, like if they have a Raigeki here. They're just going to Reborn back the Giant Soldier, and that's kind of rough for us. We are just going to flip up the Wicked Worm Beast here. And we are going to crash into the Lodgin. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think maybe we should have attacked into the Giant Soldier. But I guess, we do have more monsters in hand, and if we can pull off a man-eater bug activation, then this will enable us to pop the giant soldier, so we don't need to worry about that. Unfortunately, they do have change of heart, so they will be able to flip that up and deal with it. And they are going to bring out a Neo as well, so it's kind of rough for us. It was a good thing that we had man-eater bug set, though, and not Alchemator, because we would have just lost the game if we had set Alchemator instead there. We are just going to set the Alchemator now, though, and they will attack in. They'll take 3 because they can't get over that yet, apparently. And we are just going to reborn back a Lodgin here, and we're going to clear the offensive threat, or try to at least, and we will succeed because we do have this reinforcements here. It does mean that we can't really clear their giant soldier, though, so kind of rough for us. We do have some fissures left in deck, so if we draw a fissure, that'll be good. We also have reinforcements left in deck, so that could also be good. So we do have some ways to clear the giant soldier in deck, but we're just not drawing them, so nothing we can really do here. We just have to wait. They're going to set 1, pass back to us. We are going to attack into their set. I think this is a bit of a mistake, because if we didn't do this, we could trap hole if they flip it up onto the defender. If they draw like Raigeki, then we could just lose here, right? If this is a giant soldier, an Alchemator, and we don't have any way to deal with it. Unfortunately, it is giant soldier, so we are just going to trap hold that battle ox that they bring out. They're going to set 1, pass back to us. We're going to set a reinforcement, so we will be able to deal with one of their soldiers of stone next turn, hopefully. They do bring out Neo, which is a bad sign for us. They're going to attack into the Lodgin, activate reinforcements, and I don't know. It's tough here because we don't have a good way to clear these giant soldiers. So there is an argument to be made for just letting the Lodgin die, hoping that we draw another beater, so that way we can attack into the giant soldier and use our reinforcements, but we're just going to use the reinforcements here. It's kind of rough, though. We don't really have a good way to deal with their board, so we're just going to keep bringing out the Wicked Worm Beast, and they do have the Raigeki there, so they will be able to get in for a lethal amount of damage there. And I think that duel showed off one of the weaknesses of this deck, where it can really suffer against decks that are able to play a lot more defensively, right? We're not playing any tribute monsters like Summon Skull or anything like that, which means that we can't really have a monster that can consistently clear their 2k defenders if we manage to get it to stick, which makes dealing with these sort of defensive decks a bit more tough. So luckily we can side in to Soul Control in game 2 if we so wish. I don't think we do that here, though. I think we just keep the deck largely the same, and I think that's a mistake. I want to, I haven't played with the deck too much, so I think my reasoning here is I want to just feel it out a bit more, but I think this was a big mistake on my part. I think I should have sided in some Soul Control to deal more effectively with their strategy. But they're just going to, we're both just going to set 3. We have a defender there, which I think was a decent play. We're just going to bring out a Neo. And here I think I make a pretty big mistake. I think I should have flipped up the Alchemator on this attack, because, there's no real reason not to. I have Woboku to protect it if I really need to, but honestly the cards in hand mean that I don't really value having this defender in defense mode here. And if it's a bug, they would have likely popped, the Neo, so they would have had to take 12. If it was a defender, we just use reinforcements. They have to take 12 from that. So I think we should have flipped up the Alchemator to get the aggression going. But we'll see if that actually matters at the end of the game. They're going to send another pass back to us. We're just going to attack in. We'll take 3 from that, set 1, pass back to them. They're just going to set another pass back to us. They're in no real rush here, so they can bide their time a bit. We do draw a Fissure, though, so we will be able to get in for 2,900, which is a decent amount of damage. They're going to set another, pass back to us. And we're just going to attack in there. It's a giant soldier, unfortunately. We won't be able to get over that. I'm not sure if they actually sided into more defensive options, but, you know, they might have, seeing how much trouble we had game 1 dealing with a giant soldier. They're going to bring up Battle Ox, attack into our Neo. We're fine with that. Yeah, they're going to let it go through. So, honestly, we're fine with that because we've got more cards to replace it in hand. We draw a giant soldier. We're just going to set the giant soldier. We do this because we're trying to get them to use up like a Raigeki or something so we can more easily set our man-eater bug at a later date. And they do soul exchange. They will be able to bring out a Judge Man. We can't really do anything about that. Monster Reborn's a pretty good draw. If we manage to man-eater bug and then reborn the Judge Man, that could be pretty good. Unfortunately, now they will use Raigeki, so that puts us in a very tough spot. We're taking 3,500 here, so we are going to Woboku because that's almost half our life points. We draw another Woboku, which isn't the best, but we're going to just activate this swords, set the Woboku, pass back to them. They're going to use Pot to draw 2, and they're going to switch that giant soldier back to defense, pass back to us. And this could be an argument for saving the swords. We could have potentially just, you know, used the Woboku to prevent them from switching the giant soldier back to defense, but the issue is if they attacked with the Judge Man first, then they would have just switched the giant soldier to defense anyways. So I don't think it's that bad of a play there. We are in really tough straits, though, because we won't be able to do anything about this board for a while, it looks like. We're going to set a Neo kind of as a bluff to get them to use some form of removal on it, thinking that might be a bug, but fortunately they don't take the bait, and swords will now expire, so we're in a kind of tough spot. We're just going to set another monster, pass back to them. They're going to attack into the Neo. We lose the Neo. Nothing we can really do there. And we're just going to keep setting. You know, they've used up Raigeki. So the only mass board clear they really have available is Dark Hole. If they want to use Dark Hole on this board and clear the 2 threats that we can't get rid of, we're perfectly fine with that. So we're just going to keep setting. Keep trying to protect our life points a little bit longer until we draw something that can deal with this board. We're not yet, but Trap Hole could be nice for later. They're going to clear another of our defenders. We're in pretty tough straits. They're going to bring out a Lodgin. We could Trap Hole this, but honestly, some of the outs that we're trying to aim for are things like Raigeki or Dark Hole. So we're just going to try and weather the storm a bit. Unfortunately, they do attack correctly. They attack the giant soldier first and attack with the Lodgin into Wicked Worm Beast. So we aren't able to keep one of our monsters alive here. We're just going to Change of Heart the Judge Man, attack into their Lodgin, and they will Boku, so nothing we can do about that. We could have set the Lodgin to bide our time a little bit longer, but we've got a Woboku that we might as well use here. And they're just going to set another pass back to us. We are not, this is a really tough sort of thing. Their Judge Man's putting in a lot of work, and we just don't have a way to deal with it. They're going to set another pass back to us. Fisher's something, I guess. We're going to bring out Lodgin, attack in to the Lodgin, and in damage step they're going to activate reinforcements. We'll respond with a reinforcement of our own. We will just Fisher away the giant soldier, and then set one, pass back to them. We could have reborned a monster to act as a defensive buffer, but we do have Trap Hole to deal with if they actually summon out a monster. So we're not the most worried about that, I guess. They're going to flip up Neo. We do Trap Hole it. They're going to bring out Lodgin, and they will be able to attack in for 4k here, which is a lot of damage. We really need something here. Anything. Last will, you know, we can do a play here. We bring back Lodgin, try and crash with their Lodgin. If that actually goes through, we can bring out a defender with Last Will. And if they don't have another monster, which is unlikely given they have 6 cards in hand, but if they don't have another monster, then we could survive just a little bit longer. We attack into the Lodgin. Unfortunately, they have a Woboku, so that will just be the end of the game, because they can just get over whatever we bring out with the Judge Man and then attack in with the Lodgin for game. So that's game 1. Pretty quick game 1. And I think it shows that one of the big flaws with this deck is that it just can't deal with some big threats. It can't really deal well with tribute monsters. It can't really deal well with defensive monsters. If you have an opponent who has both tribute monsters and defensive monsters in their deck, then it can have a really, really tough time. So that's why the side deck is important. If we had sided into a bit more of a soul control side, then I think that maybe this game 2 could have gone a little bit differently. But as is, you know, we played the game that we played, and we sided the deck that we sided into. And, you know, we lost that one, but there's always game 2, so let's see how that goes. Game 2, we actually get to go first in the first game, which is pretty nice. And we are going to choose to go first, which is generally what every deck in this format wants to do. We're just going to set a defender, set 2, pass back to them. We could have probably summoned out of Battle Ox because we do have the reinforcements to back it up. But if they have a Fisher, you know, they could get around that. So we want to just bring out a defensive option. They're going to attack in with their Battle Ox. They aren't able to get over it. And we've got 3 Battle Oxes, so we might as well run one out, try and crash. And it succeeds. So that was fine. We could have set the Change of Heart as a bluff. I don't really think there was a reason not to, but we didn't. And we draw a Lodgin, which is pretty good. We're going to bring out a Battle Ox, though, because we're saving the Lodgin for later. If they use removal on this Battle Ox, then we don't care as much because we've got another Battle Ox and a bigger beater in our hand. But we want to save the Lodgin for when it could maybe trade with one of their beaters. We're going to attack into their set. We've got reinforcements, so we'll be able to get over it. We'll attack in with the Giant Soldier, set the Change of Heart as a bluff, pass back to them. They're going to set another, and we're just going to attack in with the Battle Ox here. I think we could have actually Change of Hearted, gone real aggressive here, but we chose not to. Yeah, this isn't the worst either. We've got Raigeki, so if they choose to bring out another monster, then we can Raigeki their board, get in for a ton of damage. They're going to bring out a Lodgin, and they will be able to clear our Battle Ox. Kind of unfortunate, but not the worst thing in the world. Fisher's a decent draw for later. We have to think a bit about this, because we could just Raigeki their board here, bring out like a Battle Ox, get in for 3k, and then if they bring out a monster contested, we've got Fisher. We've got beaters in hand, we've got defenders in hand, so it's not the worst play. We're just going to bring out a Lodgin, and that will get trap hold, unfortunately. And I think here we're debating, do we just fire the Raigeki now and switch Giant Soldier to attack? And just get in some chip damage, clear their board away, but leave the Giant Soldier unprotected? And that is just what we're going to do. So we do clear their board away, and we will just attack in for 13. And, you know, this is kind of risky, but we do have another defender in hand to replace the Giant Soldier if it dies to one of their monsters. We've got Fisher, we've got Change of Heart, so we can feel kind of comfortable going aggressive this way, and it's unlikely that they'll be able to kill us the next turn since we have 7,600. And it looks like they're just going to set one. And the only reason why I think they'd set one here is if they had a Maneater. So we're just going to bring out Battle Ox, Change of Heart, their Maneater, and then just get in for 3k. And, you know, we're feeling pretty good about that. They're down to 2,100 already. We've got a Fisher to deal with if they summon a monster in attack mode. Pot of Greed's kind of rough for us, but not the worst. They're going to bring out Neo, attack in to our Giant Soldier, Fisher away our Battle Ox, so it is kind of rough for us, but we draw another Fisher, which is just great. We're just, you know, we've got removal up the wazoo, which is a great place to be. However, you know, we could Fisher away their monsters, summon out Akamato, or attack in, bring them down to 900, but that's a bit greedy. We do have another Fisher to deal with whatever other monster they bring out, but we don't have a way to close out the game after that. So we don't necessarily want to do that. Instead, we're just going to set the Maneater, have that pop their monster, and save these Fishers for a time when we can actually get aggressive enough to potentially win the game. We're going to pop the Neo. They're going to bring out a Lodgin, and they're just going to pass back to us. Last Will's a decent draw. we're going to bring out Aquamador, and we are just going to Fisher their monster and attack in for 12. The reason we're comfortable doing this now is that with the last will, we have a bit of insurance. We do have the other Fisher as well. All we need is just to draw one monster, and we basically win the game from this position, because if they do trap hole, we can just last will. If they don't, we can just attack in for game potentially. So we're feeling pretty good unless they have Wolboku. They're going to bring out a Battle Ox, and they will attack in to the Aquamador, so we'll lose it unfortunately. And they're just going to pass back to us. Pot of Greed's a great draw. All we need is like one monster, and we potentially win this. That is a monster, but it's not a monster that enables us to win here. So we're just going to set it so the Wolboku that we drew. And they're just going to attack in. They'll clear the Maneater. They're going to bring out a Neo, but we're fine with that. We've got Fisher. Again, not the monster that we really want here, but I guess it is a monster. So they're going to clear it with the Neo, but we will clear their Neo. And finally, we get a monster. They're going to Wolboku, so they didn't have the trap hold combo with the last will play, unfortunately, but Neo's a pretty good card on its own. They're going to Fisher it away, though, and then just pass back to us. Again, not a monster. We don't need to activate it yet, though, so we'll save it. They're just going to set one pass back to us. Not a monster again. You know, last wills are great, but you really need monsters to go with them. So they're going to bring out Neo. That's fine by us. We can't really stop that. They're going to attack in for 17. Pass back to us. Another Neo is great. We're going to bring it out. They are going to trap hole, but we do have the Fisher, and we do have the last will here to potentially go for game. We're just going to attack in. They do have Wolboku. In main 2, we're just going to activate another last will to bring out a defender to protect our life points. And then since Wicked Worm Beast bounces back to hand, we don't really have to worry about too much board clears here. They're going to bring out a Lodge in, and they will attack in to our Giant Soldier. We're not going to activate Wolboku here, even though it's kind of clear that they have a reinforcements most likely. And they will use that to get over our Giant Soldier. So we don't have a good way to clear the Lodge in, unfortunately, now. So we can't really get in for game. We could Reborn back our Lodge in just to try and crash, bring out Wicked Worm Beast. So that way we can attack in for potentially lethal. And it looks like that is what we're going to do. We're going to summon out Wicked Worm Beast, and it looks like that is enough. So that was pretty good. If they did have like a Wolboku there, we could have just Wolboku'd as well. If they had a reinforcements that sort of dodged around Wolboku, we could have just, you know, sort of been lighted, buy us some time. So I think that we had a couple different options there to get the lethal, but we managed to pull out that one. I thought that was a pretty good one that showed how strong Last Will could be. We activated 2 Last Wills in one turn. Got 2 monsters out from the deck at a time where we were both basically down to like 1 card and just top decking to try and draw something good. So I think the Last Wills really, really paid off there in a big way. Game 2 here, we're not going to make the same mistake that we made in match 1. We are going to side into a soul control strategy, siding out 2 of the Last Wills and all of the Aquamadors. That might not be the ideal way to side in this matchup, but it's how I side in this matchup. So we are going to go second here because they get to choose. And we're starting off strong. We have Summon Skull and Soul Exchange right away. So that's pretty good. They're going to bring out Lodge in, set 2, pass back to us. We need to think here because there is actually a world in which we just Soul Exchange their Lodge in, summon out Summon Skull. Our other monsters don't really deal well with the Lodge-in, and it could open us up to some major damage if we, you know, summon out one, hoping that they'll attack into it while we have reinforcements set, and they just Fisher it away. So we are just going to Soul Exchange, summoning out Summon Skull. That does die to Trap Hole, unfortunately, but we've got 2 beaters in hand to follow it up with later, so we're feeling pretty good about that. They're going to set 1 pass back to us. Giant Soldier's a decent draw for later, but right now we feel fine going on the aggressive, so we're just going to attack into their set. Use reinforcements on it, pass back to them. They're going to Soul Exchange our monster away, which is kind of unfortunate, but nothing much we can do there. Reborn's a pretty good draw. We can Reborn back a Summon Skull for later. As is, we're just going to use Raigeki to clear the skull and get in for 18. We're just going to pass back to them. I think we could have set the Reborn as a bluff, but, you know, we didn't think of it at the time. And that is a big mistake here, I think. Luckily, we don't get punished for it. So they're just going to set 2, pass back to us. Looks like they don't really have a way to stop this. And we're just going to keep the offensive pressure going. Just keep attacking him with Lodgin. They're going to bring out a Lodgin of their own and try and attack in. They have Waboku, so they will survive that battle. We'll lose our Lodgin, unfortunately, but we're going to bring out Neo. They're going to trap hole that, assuming that we have like a Fisher or a Reinforcements to get over their Lodgin. We don't have either of those things. We just have a Monster Reborn, which we'll use to bring out the Summoned Skull to try and attack over this Lodgin here. They use up another Waboku, which means that they get to keep their Lodgin on the field, which is kind of rough for us because if they have a Fisher or something, then they clear the Summoned Skull and are able to get in for more damage. But we've got a Defender and we've got a Man-Eater Bug in hand, both of which are pretty good when facing down just a lone Lodgin. So they will Change of Heart our monster, and that's really rough. This is going to be a lot of damage. We're going to take 4,300 here. And they will Tribute off for a Summoned Skull of their own. And we draw the Trap Hole just a turn too late. Really unfortunate here. And they will be able to attack in here. We are going to pop their Summoned Skull. And the reason for this is we have a Defender in hand. So that Defender can hold the Lodgin at bay, but it can't hold the Summoned Skull at bay. So we are going to take 18 here, which is a bit more damage than we'd like to take. But, you know, I think we're set up better for future turns. Another Man-Eater is a very good draw. We're just going to set it. And because they've used up, like, Change of Heart. If they Raigeki, that's pretty unfortunate. But nothing we can do if it is Raigeki. Looks like they don't. They'll just attack into it with their Lodgin. And they'll lose the Lodgin. That's pretty good for us. We're going to bring out a Giant Soldier and try and attack in here. We will succeed. We do have the Trap Hole to back it up. So we're feeling pretty good about that. We're just going to set the swords, pass back to them. We could have swords here to protect it, but we want them to try and summon a monster to deal with the Giant Soldier, so that way we can trap hole it and get in for more damage on the next turn. They will Fisher away our Giant Soldier, though. Kind of rough, but we draw Wicked Worm Beast, which is really good here. If they're on like a more soul control strategy, which it looks like they are since they played a soul exchange, Wicked Worm Beast in the simplified game state is crazy good. So, you know, we will just get in for damage there, and we will just activate the swords. This plays around if they have like a Reborn to bring back their Summoned Skull. And I think we're going to win in a couple turns anyways, so there's not really any risk to firing it now. They're going to set one, pass back to us. And, you know, we're going to bring out a Wicked Worm Beast and attack into it. We could have Dark Hold here to clear it, but I felt that would be a bit greedy. So we're just going to try and flip it up. And it is a Man-Eater, so we will lose the Wicked Worm Beast. But at least we managed to clear one of their monsters, so that's pretty decent. We draw a Battle Axe, and here we will Dark Hole, because this will be lethal if it connects. And they're fine with the summon. We're going to attack in. They do have Waboku, unfortunately, so they will be able to protect themselves for another turn. They're going to bring out Neo. We're going to trap hole, and that will be the end of the game. So I think that showed off the strength of this deck, that, you know, playing the last rules aggressively can really put you on a leg up in the late game when things are much more simplified. And being able to leverage powerful cards like the Wicked Worm Beast can be incredibly good against soul control sorts of decks. Also, I think this shows how well the deck can perform after siding, because the soul control strategy paid off for us pretty well here in Game 2. So we are going to go into Game 3 now. So Game 3 here, we have a good idea of what each other are playing for Game 1. So that will probably factor into our playstyles here. We know that they're on a bit more of a defensive deck, it seems like, which is kind of rough for us, so it will be tough for us to take Game 1, potentially. But we'll try and play in a way that makes it most likely to succeed. But, you know, there's only so much you can do. We're just going to set a Defender, set 3, and pass. We could have set the Man-Eater Bug, but I think that's a bit risky. And it looks like they're just going to bring out a Battle Axe. So That's like the ideal outcome for us. They're just going to set 2 and pass back to us. Last will's a pretty great draw here. We can bring out the Neo and attack in. And after that gets cleared, we can pass back to them. We could have last willed to bring out like a Wicked Worm Beast, get that back to hand to just keep bringing out potentially. But I guess we're saving this to bring out another defender if we need one. So I can respect that. I don't know. I think maybe I should have just used the last will aggressively there. But we'll bring out a Lodgin, unfortunately, that will get trap hold. But that does mean that we get to use last will here. We're going to Change of Heart their monster, and we are going to attack in. I think in hindsight, I should have switched the Giant Soldier to attack here. I do have Fisher to deal with whatever they bring out afterwards, and Maneater Bug. But I don't know. I think that this makes sense because I don't have another defender in hand, so it'd be kind of rough to lose that defender there. I don't know. The damage would have been very nice, though, against their defensive sort of deck. But it looks like they do have another monster, so this may have paid off for us here. We're going to bring out the Wicked Worm Beast now, Fisher away their monster, and attack in. I think now with the reinforcements, I definitely should have switched the Giant Soldier to attack, because it seems like they don't have reinforcements of our own. So reinforcements enables our Giant Soldier of Stone to get over, like if they bring out a 1700 defender, and crash with like a Lodgin, which would also not be a bad option for us. So I think I definitely should have brought the Giant Soldier of Stone to attack there, but I didn't do it. And they're just going to set 1 here. They're going to bring out a Lodgin. And maybe the reason I didn't do it was because I know that they're on a defensive strategy, and we need to save the reinforcements for their defenders. So I guess in that case, it was a pretty good play. But they're just going to bring out another Lodgin, attack into our Giant Soldier, and unfortunately we will lose the Giant Soldier. So it's kind of rough, but nothing we can really do about that. We're going to bring out a Wicked Worm Beast, and we're just going to attack in. I don't know how I feel about this play, but we'll see how it turns out for us. We're going to lose the Lodgin and just pass back to them. I think we could have honestly used Arboboku as well to keep our Lodgin in play. But I guess we're trying to bait them into committing more so we can Dark Hole. And that is exactly what we do here. We Dark Hole their entire board and bring out Wicked Worm Beast. And try attacking in for 14. We've got 2 Maneater Bugs in hand, which can potentially pop like anything else they bring out. So we're feeling pretty good about that. They're just going to set 1 pass back to us. We're going to set 1 pass back to them. And they're going to bring out a Neo. They will Raigeki away our Maneater, which is kind of unfortunate. We are going to take 17 here. Pass back to them. A couple different options here. We can bring out a Battleox, attack into the Neo. We can Reborn a Lodgin, attack into the Neo. We can just set another Maneater Bug to try and, you know, pop their set, which is probably a defender. Tough to say. We're just going to bring out Battleox, try and attack in. And they do have reinforcements, so we will take 5 here. Main phase 2, we're just going to pass back to them. We figure they're likely not going to be able to kill us here. They bring out Summon Skull, which is really rough. We weren't expecting them to have a Summon Skull in the main deck, just because we hadn't seen it in the first 2 games. And so this, you know, kind of wreaks havoc on our hand. The Aquamator is not going to be very useful against a Summon Skull, which is 2500. If we bring out the Maneater Bug, we'll have to pop the Neo probably. So it's just tough. What we're going to do here is we're going to give it a big thing. And then we are just going to set the Maneater Bug and reborn back a Giant Soldier of Stone. You might be wondering, why did we reborn back the Giant Soldier of Stone when we could have reborn back like a Lodgin, attacked into the Neo, potentially cleared it? Well, the reason for that is if they have reinforcements and attack Summon Skull into a Lodgin, we don't have any spawn traps to bluff here, and, you know, if they reinforcement their Summon Skull, that'll be 3k into 1800, which is 1200, which will kill us. But we really do want to pop the Summon Skull, so we're going to reborn back the Giant Soldier Stone to make it so that way, like, we can pop the Summon Skull without risking death here. Of course, there are ways they can still kill us potentially, but they've used up Raigeki, so you know, if they dark hole this board, they'll be clearing everything that they have as well. So we're not as worried about that. And looks like they are going to dark hole here, and that's because they drew a monster. So that will be the end of the game. Nothing we really could have done about that. But that's game one. And I thought that was a pretty cool game one. I think we could have potentially used the last will more aggressively there. But maybe if we had fired the last will early, they would have kept the battle locks on field that initial turn. So I don't know. It's a bit tricky. There were things I think we could have done differently at different points in the game that could have potentially led to a better outcome. But, you know, sometimes the game plays out as it plays out. And it's, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, it's easy to look back and be like, oh, you should have done that or this. But it's tough in the moment, you know, gauging what you should or shouldn't do. And I think we played that game pretty decently for game one. With game two, we're just going to side into the soul control yet again. We figure it's a pretty good deck to do for game two, especially if they're playing the sort of game two side that we saw before. We're going to summon out Login and set 3. Unfortunately, we don't have any traps, so we won't be able to do anything on our opponent's turn, but we can bluff that we have a trap. So they're just going to set 3 of their own, pass back to us. We're just going to attack into it, and we won't be able to clear it, but, you know, them's the breaks. They're going to Pot of Greed here, and just pass back to us. We draw another Summon Skull. And we've got the Fissure here, so we can just Fissure away their Aquamador. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring out Battle Locks, Fissure away their Aquamador, attack in for 3,500 potentially, and they will take it. So we're feeling pretty good about that. We've gotten them down pretty low early on. And they're going to bring out a Neo and Raigeki away our board, which is kind of rough. It's a lot of monsters there. We do have another beater in hand, and we do have Soul Exchange to get over their Neo if we need it. But we're just going to bring out Battle Locks, and they will trap hole that, unfortunately. So we're just going to set Woboku. We're fine taking one more hit of 1,700. If they commit another monster, we've got Raigeki that we can use. They are going to bring out another monster and try and get in for 34, which we are just going to Woboku that. And Neo's pretty good. We can summon out Neo and then just Raigeki their board away. So we will be able to keep on the aggressive here a bit. Deal 1,700 to them, and we're feeling pretty good. They do Change of Heart or Neo, so they will be able to attack in, and they will be able to bring out a Summon Skull. Kind of unfortunate, but, you know, we've got a Soul Exchange, so we can bring out a Summon Skull of our own. Reinforcements also isn't a bad draw here. As a note, it's the first trap we've gotten. Oh, no, wait, it's the second trap. We had Woboku. Never mind. But it's the first real aggressive trap that we've gotten all game. So, you know, that's the way that these games go sometimes. You can't control what you draw. You can only control how you react to them. So they're going to set one pass back to us, and we're just going to attack over it with our Summon Skull. And it's just a Battle Locks, which is pretty good for us. Looks like they don't really have a way to clear our Summon Skull, so they have to just get defensive here. We could Reborn their Summon Skull and just try and get in for lethal here. But that's a bit greedy, so we're not going to do it. We're just going to attack over their monster and pass back to them. They have swords, so that will be nice for them. They'll be able to buy some time, probably draw an out to this Summon Skull here. We draw 2 more monsters, which, you know, isn't the worst, but it's also not the best. We would have liked to have drawn a Woboku if they're able to somehow assemble lethal here. But we're just going to keep passing back to them. And they're just going to pass back to us. Reinforcements is okay. We're just going to set it, pass back to them. They're going to pass back to us. Giant Soldier is not bad. We're just going to set it. If they have a Fissure, this plays around that. If they have Dark Hole, they can clear the whole board. But we do at least have a trap hole to deal with whatever monster they summon out afterwards. So honestly, this isn't the worst here. We're pretty insulated from defeat this turn. And if we can, you know, actually pull off our turn, then I think that we can likely win. They're just going to set 2 pass back to us. We're going to bring out Wicked Wormbeast. flip up this giant soldier here and potentially try and get in for lethal. We're going to attack in to Maneater. They are going to Woboku here, which I think is a smart play. This enables them to pop the Summon Skull while also not facing potentially lethal damage. Main 2, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to end turn. So Wicked Worm Beast will pop back to hand. If they bring out a threat to deal with the Giant Soldier, we do have Trap Hole here, so we will be able to pop it. They are going to bring out Neo. Looks like we're going to let that go through because we do have some reinforcements here. So I think maybe that was a mistake, but we'll see how it pays off for us. They have reinforcements of their own, so we could have used another reinforcements, but I don't think we care that much. Trap Hole's pretty good. We're going to bring out Lodgin, and it looks like that is going to be fine. And we're just going to bring out a Summon Skull, and we're just going to try and get in here. We're going to attack the Neo to deal 8, and then attack in to the Maneater to clear their entire board. We're very susceptible to Dark Hole now, but again, we've got a Trap Hole. We've got another Trap Hole right here, and we've got monsters to bring out on the next turn. So if they Dark Hole, it's kind of unfortunate, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. They're going to bring out a Neo, and, we are just going to Trap Hole that. We don't exactly know quite what they're planning, but we've got another Trap Hole waiting in the wings, so we can feel comfortable just putting a stop to their Neo there. And then we'll try and get in for lethal, but they've got Woboku, so nothing we can do about that. They're just going to set one, pass back to us. And we could potentially just go for a game here. We're going to bring out Wicked Worm Beast and just try and attack in. And that will be enough. So game 2 went pretty well for us. The Soul Control strategy, really pulled its weight. So I think we do keep it on the Soul Control strategy in game 3. Although maybe we should have sided into Worm Control or sided out of Soul Control, because we know that they might side an anti-Soul Control strategy in game 3, seeing that we were on it in game 2 this game and also the last game. So maybe it was a mistake to side this way, but I guess we'll find out in game 3 here. This is an okay hand, but it's not the best. They're just going to set 3, pass back to us. Soul Exchange is pretty good, especially when we have the Summon Skull in hand as well. So we'll be able to attack into their Giant Soldier there, set 3, and pass back to them. Again, we don't have any traps, we just have spells, but they're pretty good spells. So they're going to set 1, pass back to us. We're just going to bring out a Battle Ox. They're fine with that. So we're just going to fisher away their Giant Soldier and attack in for 34. This is playing into board clears like Dark Hole and Raigeki. But the way we figure it, we've got swords to stall for a bit if they do board clear. And we do have Soul Exchange plus Summon Skull to bring out a tough to deal with monster afterwards. So we're okay committing this much because it allows us to get really aggressive here. They're just going to Soul Exchange. So they will be able to bring out a Summon Skull there. Pass back to us. We're just going to Soul Exchange their Summon Skull and pass back to them. Again, this is a bit risky because board clears exist, but, that's the only way we really had to deal with the Summon Skull effectively. So we did it, and we do, suffer. They do Raigeki, so we will lose our entire board here. Maneater's a decent draw. They are going to Trap Hole, but we do have Last Will to bring out a Wicked Worm Beast and try and get over the Giant Soldier. We could have just brought out a Defender, just in case they have like reinforcements or something. But we are going to risk it, and they do have reinforcements, unfortunately. So we won't be able to do anything about that. We'll just have to pass. We don't Sword Revealing Light here because they can't feasibly kill us here, probably. If they Reborned back a Summon Skull, that's 38, and they still have to assemble 2,200 more. Unlikely that they'd be able to do that. They're just going to switch Giant Soldier to defense, pass back to us. We're just going to set 2, pass back to them. They're going to switch Giant Soldier to attack into our Bug, and Bug will pop that Giant Soldier, which is a pretty good outcome. Soul Exchange, unfortunately, doesn't really do anything here. We need a Tribute Monster to go with it. They're just going to Pot of Greed for 2, and they will attack in with Battle Ox. Nothing we can do about that. And we draw Battle Ox of our own, which is not the worst thing in the world. We're going to flip up a Swords here to flip up that set, which hopefully is going to be a Man-Eater. And also to buy some time, because we're at pretty low life points given their board state. Unfortunately, it's a Wall of Illusion, so won't quite work out for us. They're just going to set one pass back to us. Lodgin is a pretty decent draw. We're going to bring it out, and hopefully we can actually clear that Battle Ox. And we do, so that's pretty nice. They're just going to set one pass back to us. And Man-Eater's an okay draw. We're just going to set it. Hope that they don't have... I mean, they'd have to have like a Change of Heart or a Soul Exchange here to deal with this effectively. They could Dark Hole their whole board, but it's unlikely they'd do that. So we're just going to set the Man-Eater, pass back to them. And they do Soul Exchange, which is unfortunate. They are able to bring out the Summoned Skull, pass back to us. And Reinforcements is okay, but not the best. What we'll try and do here is we can get a bit cheeky. We can Change of Heart their Summoned Skull and attack into the Wall of Illusion. Try and clear it and then attack in with Lodgin. Unfortunately, that does get Waboku, so the Wall of Illusion will stick around, even though they do get the Summoned Skull back to hand. And we're just going to set 2 here. But if they bring out that Summoned Skull, it's really tough for us because we don't really have a good way to deal with it. They're going to bring out a Lodgin and try and crash with our Lodgin, which, you know, we're okay with. We want to save the Reinforcements for when we attack into the wall. Also, I think, yeah, this time that Reinforcements is our first trap card. Which we've gone a long game without any trap cards, which is kind of unfortunate. I think we're debating about whether we actually use the Reinforcements here to crash the Lodgins or save it to get over the wall. I think we do crash because there are other ways to deal with the wall, and giving them an offensive tool like Lodgin is a bit too risky, I think, at this juncture. So we are just going to pass. And here we set the Battle Ox instead of the Giant Soldier. You might be wondering why that is. The reason for that is, you know, they can just tribute out Summoned Skull, and we don't want that to happen. So if they do that, they'll clear this Battle Ox like they would have cleared the Giant Soldier. But that way we have the defender waiting in the wings for later, for when it can potentially block attacks. So that's why we did things that way. Unfortunately, they do bring out a Lodgin and attack into our set. So we could have safely brought out the Giant Soldier of Stone, forced them to use a card to remove it potentially. That trap hole is very nice though. This will safeguard against them bringing out a Summoned Skull. So feeling pretty good about that. They're going to attack into Giant Soldier, pass back to us. Waboku's a great draw. We're feeling very good about this turn of events here. They're going to bring out a Neo. We're fine with that. And they do Fisher away our Giant Soldier. So we will have to Waboku this, and they'll pass back to us. Unfortunately, Fisher isn't quite the best here. I mean, they've used up 2 Reinforcements, so they can't kill us here with just the monsters on field. And we do have Trap Hole if they normal summon out another monster, but we're in a rough spot. They do bring out another monster, so we do have to Trap Hole it, and they'll attack in for 35. And we're in a really tough position. We need something that can get us out of it. Boku can buy us another turn, but we really need something a bit more proactive. We do Waboku that, and Lodgin's okay, I guess. Well, not if they have Trap Hole. That will be the end of the game. So a kind of unfortunate game 3 here, but I thought that was a great duel with a lot of back and forth, though. So I think this was really cool. I mean, to be fair, the soul control parts did most of the work because we sided out of Last Will early on. But I do think that these were some great games here. And I think that this last game especially could have gone either way if we played differently or something like that. But, you know, that's the tricky part about Yugi-Kaiba. You know, you got to be always on your game. Always, you know, playing the best that you can. And even one slip up can potentially cost you the game. But anyways, that's game 3. Only one game left in this sort of marathon of matches that we did here. And that last game, I think, is honestly one of the best games that we played. So I think this last match is Very, very good. So I hope you all enjoy it. We are going to go first here with paper strat, you know, overcoming the rock strategy that they used. And this is a pretty decent hand. Unfortunately, we still don't have any traps. I don't know what it is with us and not drawing traps, but we can't draw traps to save our life. Luckily, we do have other cards to bluff here. They will swords, hoping that we set a man-eater bug, and this is precisely why we didn't set a man-eater bug, because, you know, swords into man-eater bug is kind of rough. So they're going to swords. Luckily, we keep our giant soldier. And that could be a man-eater bug of their own. So we could potentially, like, Raigeki. We're not going to get greedy, though. If it's a man-eater bug, it's a man-eater bug. They're going to bring out Neo. And they will flip up the man-eater bug, popping our giant soldier. So they will be able to get in for 2150, which is kind of unfortunate. We are just going to summon man-eater bug of our own, though. You could argue that we should have summoned a Login, or that we should have, like, Raigeki'd their board. The reason we didn't do either of those things is we don't really care about this 450 damage from the man-eater bug. And so this way we can, like, pop their aggressive threats while biding our time to be able to kill the man-eater bug with one of our regular beaters. They're going to attack in to the man-eater bug. We're just going to pop the Neo. We do not care about that 450 chip damage there. And they're just going to bring out a Login. We're okay with that. They'll pass back to us. We draw a Fisher. Kind of unfortunate. We won't be able to Fisher away their Login. But we're going to bring out a Login to try and, you know, force them to crash. But they do have a trap hole, which means that we do just get to last will here into a defender. We can set a Fisher here, and they do have a Fisher of their own. So we will be taking 2250 here. A lot of damage. Or, oh, 18. Looks like they're switching the man-eater back to defense. 18 is still a lot of damage, though, but it's a bit better for us. We're going to Pot of Greed, draw 2. Bring out a Battle Ox. They will trap hole that, but we do have another Last Will. So we will be able to bring out Giant Soldier, attack in to the man-eater bug, and then Fisher away their Login. We can then set a Reinforcements, which should be able to buff up our Giant Soldier to enough to win pretty much any battle, or at least tie in a battle against Logins. They're going to Reborn their Login, and they will attack in. And we have to think here a bit, because we could Reinforcements cause this crash to happen, or we could just use Reinforcements on another battle with one of our beaters afterwards. So we are just going to save it, and I do think this is the right play. Sure, you know, it would have crashed, and then we could have gotten in directly with one of our monsters. And actually, I think maybe we should have... Yeah, I think actually we should have Reinforcements here, because we're going to use Reinforcements probably to get over the Login anyways. Unless we're deciding on crashing here, which would be decent, because we do have 2 beaters in hand, so we can afford to crash. Okay, it looks like we are crashing, so I do think saving the Reinforcements was the right play then. Luckily, past me was more on the ball than present me, it looks like. So we are able to crash Logins, and we've just got plenty of beaters to bring out. So we're going to bring out a 1700 because the Reinforcements can safeguard a little bit. And we'll attack in. They're going to Fisher away our Battle Ox, and that's fine. We've got a Neo that can replace it. We'll just attack in for another 1700. Set another, pass back to them. They're going to Fisher away our Neo, set 1, pass back to us. We're feeling pretty good, though. We're just going to bring out a Login, attack into their set. And it is an Aquamatter, which we will use Reinforcements on. So we've got the offensive pressure really going here, and that Wicked Worm Beast in hand will just be able to add on to it even more. We can bring it out, get in an extra bit of damage without really having to worry about, you know, mass board removal. So we're feeling pretty good about the state of this game. Wicked Worm Beast bounces back to hand, and that's it. Looks like they didn't really have anything to follow up with there. So that's game 1, and again, I think it shows off these strengths of Last Will. You know, we were able to bring out a defender when we needed it. We were able to get a bit more aggressive with it when we needed it. Like, Last Will is just an all-around great card, and I think that this deck is really cool for exploiting it to its maximum potential. So we managed to actually win, I think. Let's see, for the first games here. For our first games in the matches, we lost the first one, we won the second one, and we lost the first one, it looks like. So we've gone 50-50 with our first games with the Last Will Turbo deck, which were basically the games that we're mainly playing with this deck. Because after first game, we side into something else. So we're going to side into Soul Control here yet again. So unfortunately, we're not really playing Last Will Turbo, but we do keep one copy of Last Will in the deck. So we do have Last Will a little bit, but this is a very weird hand. Not gonna lie. All monsters. Looks like they might have a bit of a weird hand too, because they just set 2 and passed. So, I mean, we're just gonna bring out a 1700 beater, attack in, and then we kind of have to pass back to them. We don't really have any other options here. They're going to bring out a Battle Axe, attack into our Neo, and crash, which is fine by us because we've got so many more monsters to bring out. We're going to bring out a Battle Axe, and this may be a mistake because the reason they might not have any monsters here is they're bricked on Soul Control stuff. So maybe we should have brought out the Wicked Worm Beast just to get in for 1400 each turn. But we're going to bring out a 1700 beater. We do have Maneater Bug in case they do use like a Soul Exchange or something. So we're just going to keep getting aggressive while we can. And they're just going to bring out a Neo, attack in to our Battle Axe, use Waboku, and that will unfortunately cause them to keep their Neo around. We could bring out a Neo of our own here and just crash. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a bit risky. If they have like a Waboku or reinforcements or something, then we just lose our Neo while leaving them with theirs. So we figured it's safe just to set a Giant Soldier of Stone and pass back to them. They're going to attack in with Neo, and they are able to get over it with a reinforcements, which is kind of unfortunate. We draw another Maneater Bug, which makes us feel comfortable just setting this Maneater Bug here. And they're just going to attack into it. So we'll be able to pop their Neo. They'll bring out another Neo. That's fine by us. We are just going to bring out another Defender. You know, save this Maneater Bug for a time when it's actually needed. And they're just going to attack in with their Neo. And set 1, pass back to us. We unfortunately don't have like a Raigeki or anything to capitalize on this board state, but we're going to bring out a Neo of our own and just try and attack into their set, see what it is. It is a Maneater Bug, so they will pop our Giant Soldier, unfortunately. But we got another in hand for later, so not the worst. They're going to try to bring out Lodgin. We're just going to trap hole it. They will fisher away our Neo, and they'll be able to get in for 17. They'll pass back to us. Soul Exchange is not the best right now, but you know we can buy our time. We've got another Defender to hold down the fort while we wait to draw into a Tribute Monster. So they'll attack in to the Giant Soldier. We draw reinforcements, which is pretty good. We're going to bring out Wicked Worm Beast, trying to bait like a trap hole or something here, but we don't really have anything to do with it, so we'll just go to end phase, bounce back to hand. They're going to Soul Exchange, bring out a Summon Skull, which is pretty rough for us here. Don't really have a way to clear this board. So we're just going to set a Maneater Bug. When in doubt, set a Maneater Bug. Unfortunately, they do have a Change of Heart, so they will be able to pop the Maneater Bug and try and get in for 42 here. We are just going to Waboku that, prevent them from getting in some damage. They're going to set 1, pass back to us, and we're going to bring out a Battle Axe. And Battle Axe will try attacking into their Neo. We will use reinforcements to get over it. And, you know, that's it. We're just going to set 1, pass back to them. Of course, this isn't the best play. I mean, we're just going to lose the Battle Axe to their Summon Skull. But this does deprive them of a beater that can consistently get in and deal us damage. So we felt it was worth doing. And hopefully we can draw like a Fisher or something to deal with the Summon Skull. But unfortunately, they are going to attack into the Battle Axe. Set 1, pass back to us. And this is a bit of a risk here. So we check their graveyard, see what's in there. So they've only used up one man-eater bug, so it could very easily be a man-eater bug that they're setting to pop whatever we set onto the field. It could also just be a defender that they didn't want to put an attack and put at risk. So we've got two monsters in hand that can cause us to go down very different paths. We can either set the man-eater bug here, hoping there's a defender, so that way we can pop the summoned skull with it. We could summon out Wicked Worm Beast, attack into their monster, hoping it's a man-eater bug. But that really punishes us if it is a defender. So it's a really tough choice here, and we think about it for a while. But we are just going to bet that it's a man-eater bug, bring out Wicked Worm Beast, and try and attack in. And unfortunately, is a defender, so we will lose 600 there, and we're kind of forced to reborn back a defender. That won't stop their summoned skull, but it will protect us from a lot of damage. It's just kind of rough, though. This is not the game state that we want to be in, especially given that now we're at 3100, which means if we set the man-eater bug, we can't really pop the summoned skull because 1800 plus 1300 will be exact lethal. So we're in a really tough spot now. Trap Hole does not help us. It really does not help us here. They're going to attack into the man-eater, and now we actually can pop the summoned skull because they didn't switch the giant soldier to attack. We are, however, going to pop the Lodgin. I think maybe this was a mistake, but I guess we don't want to drop down to 13. We're just going to set 2, pass back to us, or pass back to them, that is. They're going to bring out another Lodgin, attack into our set, and we are just going to Oboku this because we don't really want to afford taking 2500 to the face. So this is kind of unfortunate because the Wicked Worm Beast will bounce back to hand at the end of our turn. And that reinforcement actually will make this the end of the game because Wicked Worm Beast bounces back to hand at the end of our turn. So this will be lethal damage here, unfortunately. So we lost game 2. I think there was a world where we made the other choice to set the man-eater bug, where we could have potentially won game 2. But it really was kind of just a 50-50. And we picked wrong. So that happens in these games. You've got to make snap judgment calls, and you're not always going to be right. But game 3, we're going to decide to do something a little bit different. We saw that they were on a Wall of Illusion in game 3 of the last game, so they probably decided into something a bit more anti-soul. So we're going to switch it up and side into Worm Control. We do have the capability to do that. We side in an additional Worm Beast, 3 Wall of Illusion, 2 Ultimate Offering. We do side out of all the last wills. I do think that it is better to do Worm Control with just 2 Ultimate Offerings, no last wills, even though the last will can fetch out a worm. But we decided to play it that way. So let's see how the Worm Control strategy goes here. Let's see if we can do a bit better than Soul Control. This isn't the worst hand. We've got a defender again, so we'll just set 3 and set the defender and pass. They're going to bring out a Lodgin, attack in to our defender, take 200, set 2 of their own and pass back to us. Trap Hole comes a bit too little too late, but you know, they still have to clear this giant soldier some way. Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. We could have summoned out the Battle Ox, tried to attack the Lodgin and get over it with the reinforcements, but I don't really think we need to. They're just going to attack into it here. We are okay with that. It means they probably have reinforcements, and they do. But honestly, not the worst. It means that they're 1 reinforcements down and potentially don't have another one. So we are just going to attack in to their Lodgin. In the damage step, activate reinforcements, get over their Lodgin, and pass back to them. They're going to reborn back the Lodgin, which is kind of unfortunate for us, but it does mean that they're probably low on monsters, which can be very good for us. They're going to get rid of the Neo. We're going to reborn back the Giant Soldier of Stone, because we figure they might not have a way to get over this. So they do have a way to get over it, unfortunately, and they will be able to attack in for 18. They view it as a bit greedy to reborn back the giant soldier, but we did it. Nothing we can do about it now. We're going to bring out a Battle Ox, and we're just going to set the reinforcements and pass back to them. We could have change of hearted their Lodgin, try and get in 3,500. Just make a major dent in their life points. And also, give us an excuse for not attacking into the Lodgin here. Maybe make it a bit less clear what this set card is. But we're just going to choose to play it this way. And it could come back to bite us if they have like a Fisher or something. But Pot of Greed makes it more likely that they will have something, unfortunately. But they don't do anything there, so we will activate Reinforcement the damage step and will apparently get over that Lodgin. So we're feeling pretty good about that. They're going to set 3 and pass back to us. So we have to think here a bit, because we could change of heart their set, or we could just attack into it with the Battle Ox. I think we should change of heart here, because if it is a Man-Eater and they clear our Battle Ox, we don't really have any other aggressive pressure to leverage against our opponent. And we do have 2 trap holes to defend the Battle Ox from like Lodgins and the like. So I think we are just going to change of heart, and we do. And it turned out to be a Wall of Illusion, which is very nice to see when we have a Man-Eater bug in hand. So we're going to get very greedy. We're going to set the Man-Eater bug and just hope they don't have a Raigeki. If they have Raigeki, then we get uber punished here. But if they don't, and they potentially set another monster, we can flip up the bug, pop whatever else they bring out, and then attack into the wall with the bug, get it back to hand. So it's a very, very greedy play we make here. And we do get uber punished for it with that Raigeki. So it happens. They will just attack in with the wall. And we're getting even more punished. We're not drawing it out to the wall. So we could just lose to wall beatdown, which is always very sad when it happens. Let's see if we draw an out. We do draw an out. We do draw a Fisher. So we will be able to clear that wall. We've got trap holes for whatever else they might bring out. And we are just going to use one. So we will trap hole that. We're going to summon out the wall and just try and do some wall beating of our own. We do have a trap hole to deal with whatever else they bring out. We have a Oboku if they try and attack in to the Wall of Illusion. We can bounce whatever they bring out to hand and then just trap hole it the next turn when they bring it out next. We've got a couple options here. They're at 3,300, which is just 4 attacks with the wall. They're going to bring out a Giant Soldier, and we are just going to go the Woboku route. Bounce that Giant Soldier back to hand, and just try and attack in with the wall again. Ultimate Offering is a pretty decent draw here. Unfortunately, we don't really have any monsters to pair with it yet, but if we can draw some later, it will be very nice. They are going to bring out a Giant Soldier. We are just going to trap hole that, and they're going to activate Swords to preserve their life total. That's fine by us, because wall can just switch to defense. We are just going to Pot of Greed, since we have it. Switch wall to defense, and force them to have to get over the wall through some form of removal. They're going to bring out Neo. They're going to attack into the wall. And they're going to reinforcements to get over it. But honestly, that's not too bad for us. We draw Wicked Worm Beast, which isn't the best right now, but we don't really need it to be. They're going to trap hole this Battle Ox that we bring out. We could have potentially tried to chain block it, but we didn't really have a good option to do that, because if we chain Ultimate Offering to itself, we would have to bring out... it wouldn't be that bad, because we would have brought out the Wicked Worm Beast as Chain Link 1, and then the Wicked Worm Beast would bounce back to hand at the end of the turn, so we would be able to... keep just one monster on the board in case they had like Dark Hole or something. But honestly, we can bring out a Neo during their battle phase with Ultimate Offering. And we can't attack with the Battle Ox now. So we're not too torn up about that. They do use up a trap hole there, which isn't the worst. They're going to bring out a Neo, and they're just going to try and attack in. And we are just going to use the Ultimate Offering here. Bring out a Neo, and, it is a bit risky to do this. If they do have a trap hole, then we're taking even more damage. And this is potentially a reason why we shouldn't have brought out the Battle Ox last turn. We should have saved it for here, because we could have, we could have tried summoning out the Battle Ox with the Ultimate Offering. They activate Trap Hole. We chain Ultimate Offering to the Trap Hole to summon out a monster of our own. But I don't know. It's kind of tough to determine that, and it would have dropped us down like a lot lower than we otherwise would be. So I think we were just hoping that they didn't have a Trap Hole here, and luckily they do not. They are going to try and use reinforcements to get over our Neo. We're just going to use our reinforcements to crash. And Waboku's a pretty decent draw. We're just going to set the Waboku, pass back to them. Hope they don't really have much more offensive pressure. And looks like they don't. They're just going to set one, pass back to us. We figure that's probably a Worm Beast. Or not a Worm Beast. Probably a Man-Eater Bug. Because otherwise they might have tried to attack in here. So we're going to bring out Worm Beast and just try clearing it. And it is a Man-Eater Bug. We'll just pass back to them. We could have potentially tried summoning out Lodgin and Worm Beast this turn. Attacked into the Man-Eater Bug with the Lodgin. Had them pop the Worm Beast that way, I guess. But I think we're saving the Lodgin to bring out during our opponent's battle phase. In case they have like another 1700 beater or something. And it looks like they're just going to set one and pass. We don't really have a good way to chain block the summon of the Lodgin. We could activate Waboku, but we don't really want to right now. And we don't want to commit 2 monsters to the board. So we are just going to summon out the Lodgin. And luckily it does not get Trap Hold. They're going to Waboku in case that is a reinforcement. And pass back to us. They will Change of Heart the Lodgin. And we could just take the 18 here. And I think in hindsight we should have taken the 18. But we decide to Waboku, since it is half our life points, and we don't want to bring out the Man-Eater Bug with the Ultimate Offering, pop 2 of our cards, basically. I think this was a mistake, though. I think we should have just taken the 1800 and saved the Waboku for a later time. But as is, they are able to stick a Summoned Skull, and that's real rough for us. Luckily, they're not really going to do anything here, so we can just bring out a Man-Eater Bug and pop the Summoned Skull. And they're just going to set one, pass back to us. We draw Dark Hole, which is pretty nice. So we could just Dark Hole their board, summon out Wicked Worm Beast, and attack in for damage. And that is what we're going to do. We're just getting full aggressive here, given that this drops them down to 900 potentially. And that's pretty good. All we need to do is manage to bring out Wicked Worm Beast and attack in with it one more time. We potentially win if they don't have Waboku. They're just going to set 2 and pass back to us. Wall of Illusion's a great draw here. We can bring it out off of Ultimate Offering during our opponent's battle phase if we need to. We're going to bring out Wicked Worm Beast, and we are just going to attack into their set. They have used up 3 Giant Soldiers. It could be a Wall of Illusion. If it's a Wall of Illusion, that's kind of rough, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But it's most likely a Man-Eater, and it is a Man-Eater. So we will lose the Wicked Worm Beast, but we do have a monster that can get in if we need it to next turn. They're just going to set another, pass back to us, unfortunately. We are just going to bring out Giant Soldier, figuring that is probably another Man-Eater Bug, potentially. And if it's not, we're not too torn up about just losing like 700, potentially. It is another Man-Eater Bug, so that's pretty good for us. They're going to bring out a Neo. We're going to pay the 5, set a Wall of Illusion. They will attack into it. They'll take 150 here, bounce the Neo back to hand. And they will be forced to Fissure away our wall because we could just switch it to attack and attack in potentially. That Raigeki is not going to do it here, unfortunately. So we are at major risk of a big offensive push just killing us out of nowhere. But luckily, it looks like they aren't going to do that. They're just going to set one, pass back to us. And we could just win here. We're going to bring out a Battle Ox. And I think we could have actually just dodged around Trap Hole here if we had activated Raigeki, chained Ultimate Offering to it, brought out Battle Ox. I think that is what we should have done, but we didn't do it. I don't know why. They only had 1 Trap Hole in Grave, so we really should have done it. But we're going to Raigeki away their set. It turns out to be another Battle Ox. And that will be the end of the game. So we did manage to win this game 3 with Worm Control, kind of miraculously. Yeah, looks like they just had 2 spells, so nothing much they could do there. And a Summoned Skull in hand, of course. But, yeah, so that that's the fourth match of Last Will Turbo in this video, the fourth and final match that I'm showing off in this video. And I know that this video featured a lot of games 2 and 3 that were not Last Will Turbo, so you only really got to see the deck shine in the games 1. So you really only got to see the deck shine in the first games of each match. But I think all these matches were pretty interesting overall. And I really do think the deck did shine in the first games of the matches. And also I think that, you were able to very easily see some of the deck's big flaws, like how it can't really deal well with defensive strategies as much. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I've kept you here long enough. Sorry about this reCAPTCHA thing that popped up in the corner partway through. I just noticed it. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Hopefully that didn't distract you from the duels that much. But until next time, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.